Welcome again to every one of you. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. We are so happy to have this afternoon Caroline Lawson from the University of Alberta. Caroline is an international specialist at the University of Alberta, and in the next few minutes we'll give you a presentation about the services that the University of Alberta offers to international students. So thank you again, and I hope that every one of you is healthy and safe right now, and the situation in each one of your countries where you are connected is going to improve or is getting better. So thank you for taking the time again, and we are going to start right away with a small introduction and presentation about the CALDO Consortium. It is going to be just a few minutes, and afterwards I will give the word on the stage right away to Caroline Lawson. So let me give you a little bit information about CALDO. CALDO is probably some of you are aware about CALDO, but CALDO is a consortium of top Canadian research universities offering graduate programs in English and French to students from all over Latin America. CALDO, it is a consortium working only right now in the Latin American region. We do have agreements with 9 countries in the region from Mexico to Chile, and we support students coming to study master's and PhD programs to CALDO members universities. Through CALDO, we sign agreements with government agencies such as CONACYT Mexico, MinCiencias Colombia, ANIT Chile, and many others in the region. But at the same time, we do offer a lot of support to international students interested in coming to study their master's and PhD to our universities in Canada. Through our services at CALDO, we try to provide you as much information as possible in order to facilitate your application process to any of our members institutions here in Canada. What are the members universities of CALDO? Here you see the 8 members that are part of CALDO right now. The University of Alberta, that today we are going to have the pleasure to listen to Caroline Lawson and the services that the university offers. Dalhousie University, Université Laval, McMaster University, University of Saskatchewan, University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, and Western universities. The 8 universities that you see here are distributed in different regions of the country, and according to the regions where they are located, all the universities have different strengths and different programs where they try to focus mostly their research activities for their master's or PhD programs that they offer. So how CALDO could help you to arrive to our universities? First, we are a single point of contact for having access to the information offered through our universities. We provide guidance in terms of researching which one could be the right master's degree or PhD program according to your interests, according to your research strengths and interests. And at the same time, we help you in how to connect efficiently with supervisors at the universities, because especially when you are interested in studying a PhD, it is a mandatory requirement to have a supervisor for your research program that you are going to follow. And at the same time, we try to provide as much information as possible in terms of giving you personalized counseling to any day-to-day problems that could arise to any questions or any situation that you require in terms of where are you going to study, which city are you going to choose, or what are going to be the requirements that the different programs establish for masters or PhDs at any of the Caldo members universities. Most of the information that I have been sharing with you, you can find it through our website, caldo.ca. You will find out information about studying in Canada, our universities, tools to apply. Indeed, a lot of webinars that we have been recording in the past are available through our website, and you can get information about different topics that could be of your interest before preparing your application to any of our universities here in Canada. So another tool that is very important for you to know is that through our website, at the homepage, you are going to find out a program browser where you will be able to name the program or the area of interest and do a search according to different universities, specific universities, or at the same time choosing the degree level, master's or PhD, and you will see right away all the programs offered by any Caldo members university. So right now, just I want to finish my initial presentation, inviting you to follow us through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and you will get information about different events, different activities, and at the same time, you will be able to contact us for any question that you may have for your application process. So thank you so much for your time again. And right now, I'm going to give the word to Caroline, who is going to present the information about the University of Alberta. At the end of the presentation, I will ask directly some questions that could arrive through the question and answer chat in the platform. So please write your questions, and we will have some time at the end of the day just for answering your question that you will ask to Caroline in her presentation. Thank you so much. And Caroline, please, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm just going to share my slides here with everybody, so hopefully everybody can see those. As mentioned, my name is Caroline Lawson. I'm an international student specialist and regulated international student immigration advisor at the University of Alberta. And I work within the unit in University of Alberta International Student Services. And so today I wanted to kind of have the opportunity to introduce you to some of the services that we offer through ISS, or International Student Services. But also I wanted to highlight some of the things about graduate studies at the University of Alberta that are available to students just by being a graduate student. And I think things that hopefully international students will participate in as students as well. And so I wanted to highlight a few of those as well in this presentation. So first of all, I just wanted to acknowledge that the University of Alberta respectfully acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 6 territory, traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others, whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. And although we're in a virtual space here, I think it's important to make the acknowledgement, as we're hoping to, bring more students to this gathering place and share in our knowledges. And so I just wanted to include our territorial acknowledgement there. So what am I going to do in this presentation today? So I'll give a little bit of context about where we are in Canada. A little bit more about the University of Alberta in general. We won't focus too much on that because, as you know, there's a lot of information through the Caldo website as well on the different programs you can look for. As I mentioned, I wanted to talk a little bit about graduate studies at U Alberta and what is available, services and programming available through grad studies. And then, of course, what we're offering as well for international students through the International Student Services. And really, I want you to ask the question, why U Alberta? And hopefully I can tell you why today. Why U Alberta is a great place to study as a graduate student, as a student in general, and hopefully you'll feel the same at the end. So where are we located? As you can see, is a map of Canada here. Alberta is that province there in blue. That's our Alberta flag, our coat of arms there. And Edmonton is sort of right in the middle. And Edmonton is where the University of Alberta is located. Edmonton is the capital city of Alberta. So we do have the government here located in the legislature building. So a lot of, work is being done in the city of Edmonton in government, as well as at the University of Alberta. And of course, lots of jobs being created in those sectors for people living in the province in Edmonton. There's about 1 million people now in Edmonton, so we're not a small city. We're considered a big city here in Canada, and we're always growing. So it's a very vibrant city and lots of different communities and lots of things to do. So this is probably what a lot of people think of when they think of Alberta. Rocky Mountains, of course, is a big selling point for us, and it is beautiful, lots of wildlife. And of course, if you're a student here, there's lots of opportunities through the International Student Services and other clubs on campus to take trips to the Rocky Mountains. We do organize those for international students through our office, so that students can have that opportunity to go and experience the mountains, because of course you have to go if you're in Alberta. But besides that, the city of Edmonton, like I mentioned, it's a very vibrant city. There's lots of things going on. We are a festival city, typically speaking. So we do have a lot of festivals going on in Edmonton, folk music festivals, other kinds of music festivals. We have a beautiful new museum here in Edmonton, lots of restaurants. We're a real foodie city now. And then here you can kind of see our downtown skyline there as well. So you can see lots happening, lots going on here in Edmonton. But what about the University of Alberta? So just a few stats about the university. We're about 40,000 students coming from about 156 different countries. We have 18 faculties currently, and they're kind of spread out over 5 separate campus locations. North Campus being the main location. As you can see behind me in my backdrop, there's a nice aerial view of part of North Campus as well. And of course, all the rankings are available on our website, but we are 4th ranked in Canada, big research universities, and 81st in the world by the NTU ranking in 2019. And many other rankings can be found on the University of Alberta website there as well. Couple of photos of the campus. So a little bit of winter photo here for you, and then a lovely summer photo. So as we were saying at the beginning of the presentation, it's a beautiful day here in Edmonton today. So we have a really wide range of seasons, all 4 of them in Edmonton. Of course, winter features prominently, and there's lots to do in the winter as well. So we do encourage students to get out and enjoy all of the winter activities that you can do here in Edmonton. And through the International Student Services, there's a lot of activities that are planned and organized for students as well. And especially for newcomers, I think it's really important to embrace everything there is to do in the different seasons. Winter is here for quite a while during the year. So it is important to make sure you embrace that as much as possible. But some of the buildings on campus as well, you can see here, the old arts building, which is a really beautiful, prominent building in the middle of our campus. Again, an aerial view. See, this is where I am right now of the campus. So on this side of campus is all the engineering buildings over here. And then there's a big quad right in the middle of campus where students hang out in the summer. And it sort of is the middle of the campus, I would say, and kind of, the center point for the different parts of campus. And here's just a beautiful kind of fall photo of the river valley. So where the campus is located is right on the river valley of the North Saskatchewan River that runs through Edmonton. And so lots of beautiful views from many of the buildings on campus of the beautiful river valley here. But what about graduate studies? Because we want to talk about that and why it would be great to be a graduate student here at the University of Alberta. There's about 7,600 graduate students roughly on campus, and about 500 graduate programs to choose from, which you can find through the CALDA website there. About 360 plus master's programs alone. So that's a lot to choose from, and 170 PhD programs as well. Some of the stats about graduate students currently. So this was taken from an 2019-2020 enrollment report that the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research puts out every year. So about almost 21% of students are graduate students at the University of Alberta. 39.8% of the graduate students are international. So lots of different countries represented by graduate students at the University of Alberta. And you can see there's more and more applicants from international students applications year over year as well. So it kind of gives you an idea of the demographic of what we're looking at with our graduate student population. So some of the things I wanted to kind of point out for you as you're thinking through, okay, what does it look like to be a graduate student at the University of Alberta? What is, what's available to me as a graduate student? And some of the things I think are really unique about the graduate studies programs at the University of Alberta is, one, when you apply to the university as a graduate student, you are applying to the department that you would like to join. So if if you're a civil engineer and you want to do a PhD in civil engineering, obviously you apply to that department. But when you apply to the department and you're admitted to the university, you're actually admitted to the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research. And so the faculty itself has lots of things to offer all graduate students across campus. One of the requirements of being a graduate student at the University of Alberta is doing the professional development requirement. And this is to help graduate students throughout their degree programs to think about career development in different ways and to sort of assist with building skills related to career development. If it's academia that students are interested in, it can help with that. And it can also assist with building skills related to careers outside of academia as well. So you can read all about the professional development requirements on the website. There's certain things that students have to do when they start their program and then requirements that they have to meet throughout. There's also an academic integrity and ethics training that is an online training. That's a requirement of the program, which can be really helpful in kind of navigating your way through the program. And then there's a graduate teaching and learning program, which is designed to help graduate students become effective educators. So, if teaching is new to you and it's something that you are expected to do within your program, TAing, and then of course any future teaching that you would do, this program is designed to sort of help students become effective teachers as graduate students and beyond. It's not a requirement of the program, but it is available. So something I wanted to point out to you as well, because I think it's a really great program to be a part of. Another one that I think is really exceptional and that many international students do look to when they're at the University of Alberta is the Graduate Student Internship Program. And this is open to international students and domestic students alike. And it's an internship program. It's a partnership with the U Alberta Career Center. And International Student Services, we also work quite closely with Career Center on different projects that we work on specifically for international students. This one, of course, is open to all graduate students, but really it's meant to provide, well, as it says, paid and flexible work experience opportunities for graduate students. Different types of work placements are available throughout the year to allow graduate students to strengthen their professional and transferable skills. So I think for international students to get involved in the GSIP program is great because you can gain really valuable Canadian work experience while you're a student. A lot of the internships are flexible because there's certain requirements for international students in terms of eligibility for working on and off campus. And I can talk about that later if people have questions around that. But a lot of the employers that are in the internship program are flexible and are willing to work around any of the restrictions on hours. As well, there might be opportunities on campus as well for students to get involved in, which doesn't obviously have the same impact on the hours. So it's a really great program and something to think about if you are coming to the U of A to do graduate studies. So that brings me to who we are. So that's Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research, and some of the highlights I wanted to look at through the faculty itself. But International Student Services, the office where I work, I just kind of want to give you an idea of who we are and kind of things we provide as well, and how you can connect with us at any point while you're thinking about coming to the U of A, once you're admitted to the U of A, and of course, once you're here. So who are we? We are these people. This is our team. So there I am in the middle there. This Kumari here, she is our associate director. And then everybody else, we are all working together. So there's 4 of us who are regulated immigration advisors to help students through issues related to study permits, work permits, visas for themselves and their family members. Gavin on the end there, he is responsible for a lot of the programming that we do to help students, get adjusted to life in Canada and Edmonton. Wendy on the other end, she's our career development advisor. So she helps students with questions and advising related to career development and how to get that Canadian work experience while you're in Canada. But we all work together as a team to help international students, of course, settle in, but also help them be successful throughout your degree program while you're at the University of Alberta and then beyond. So once you finish the program and you're looking to the next steps, we're still there providing that support as well. So the kinds of things that we do help students with, immigration advising, of course, is very important. And we do, like I mentioned, study permits, work permits, open work permits for spouses, visas, ETAs, all of the above. We're there to support you with. Any other kinds of advising, if it's around just general things, how do I get a social insurance number? How do I do my healthcare stuff? And of course, any personal issues that come up, we are there to support students through that as well. We build relationships with students early on. We try to build those relationships so that we can continue those relationships throughout the degree program. And then, like I mentioned before, beyond as well. And then we do a lot of programming through our office. It's also one of our primary focuses, which centered around English language practice, again, career advising. We do programming on taxes, so how to file your taxes, and many other things in between, academic supports for students. And when we're back in person on campus, a lot of these things will be resumed. Some hopefully will have an online component as well. But we've been really great and able to adapt throughout this last year and a half, moving a lot of these things online as well to help support students in the online environment. We also provide emergency funding for students, on international students. So for students who find themselves in a difficult financial situation or an emergency, we are there to support students through that as well. Some of the more common immigration topics that we get a lot of questions about, of course, study permit applications. So what I will say at this point for students who are just thinking about coming to Canada and starting their applications for their programs in Canada, just as a tip now, as soon as you get your admission to your university in Canada, be it U Alberta or anywhere else, please make sure that you apply for your study permit as soon as possible. And we have lots of videos on our website to help you through that process. And you can also get in touch with us while you're in that process, and we can help you with any questions that you have about that. So we do a lot of immigration advising, and we can help with any of those questions. The other one is the post-graduation work permits. You may have heard about this already through different channels, but students who study in Canada, international students who study in Canada and are doing a degree program are eligible to apply for a post-graduation work permit once they have completed their degree program in Canada. The permit length is based on the length of the program that they complete. So typically at the University of Alberta, a lot of the master's programs are 2 years, and of course PhDs 4 years or more. So any program that is 2 years in length or longer, students are eligible for the post-graduation work permit for 3 years. The post-graduation work permit is an open work permit, which means you can work anywhere in Canada in any position. So it's really flexible and it's very wide open. Another topic I wanted to bring up just around travel restrictions and quarantine support, because that's something that we're spending a lot of time and a lot of our support services are going towards quarantine support right now. Just of course, because of the current restrictions in Canada and the quarantine requirements. So just know it's there, the support. So we do have isolation accommodation support for students who are living in residence. And students, this kind of brings me to residents actually. Students who are living in residence can do their part of their quarantine in their residence. For graduate students, you don't have as many options as undergraduate students do for residents, but you have very good options for graduate students as residents on our campus. So do know if you're thinking, oh, do I have to live in residence? No, absolutely, you don't have to. You can certainly look for accommodations off campus, but do know that there are graduate student residences available at the University of Alberta. And those can be a single living or roommate living as well. So there are different options and flexibility there. If you're doing quarantining off campus, that means you're also living off campus. We do have a lot of information on our website about what you would need to be aware of if you're looking to rent off campus accommodation. Each province is a little bit different in its how they deal with rental rights and responsibilities. So we think it's important to make sure students have that knowledge and that information when they're looking at renting accommodation off campus. So on our website, you can find a lot of information about that. And of course, I do recommend reviewing that if you're coming to Alberta and you're looking for off-campus residence. As I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of programming in relation to English conversation, English language practice. So we want to create spaces for students, international students whose English is not their first language, to be able to come in a sort of really easy, safe space for students to come and practice speaking English conversationally. So every Friday afternoons, and we have moved this online since we've been online the last year and a bit, but every Friday afternoon we host English Conversation Club from 3 until 4, and then when we're in person, it's an in-person meeting, and it involves students, staff, faculty, visiting researchers, visiting professors from Canada and around the world. To come and share different perspectives on a variety of topics. So how we normally run those is we will have a guest speaker come in for each of those. Sometimes it's just different colleagues from our office, from UAI, from international, to come in and present on a topic of interest to that person or just a current event, and then to kind of get the conversation started. And then students can join in a larger group if they feel like it. And if not, there's the opportunity to kind of get into smaller groups as well and have more intimate conversations and be able to practice that conversational English. So we all really love English Conversation Club. It's just a really great way for us to connect with students as well, and for students to connect with each other and to form friendships, which we know do and have lasted for a long time as well. So we do encourage new students and students who have been at the university for already a long time to join in to English Conversation Club. This year, we've also started English Reading Club, which again is sort of a new way for students to get more familiar with Canadian culture through different short stories and poems, maybe news articles, that kind of thing. And it's facilitated in partnership with the U Alberta libraries. So the librarians facilitate those discussions about the different short stories and poems that have been read. So the reading club meets every week as well. So right now it's every Monday from 4 to 5 online. And they discuss a short narrative or essay and share perspective and interpretations of the different things that they've read. So it's like a book club, but shorter things to read because it's every week, and as well more geared to sort of go through those critical thinking skills and be able to practice that kind of expression in English within a group setting as well. One of our other programming options for international students is the iWork Skills for Cross-Cultural Employment. So I was mentioning a little bit earlier how we partner with the Career Center often. So this is one of those spaces where we have the opportunity to connect with Career Center on some of the workshops that we offer and the conference as well that we host. So iWork is geared for international students to be able to gain career development skills and skill building within the Canadian context. So similarly to the GSIP program with the internship side, the workshops that we offer through iWork are on topics that we feel international students would gain the most knowledge and information about Canadian workplace experience. The workshop series runs throughout the semester, and then it culminates in a conference, one-day conference in March. Again, linking back to the professional development requirements that all graduate students have to complete as part of their degree program, iWork has a lot of their workshops approved for hours towards that professional development requirement. So again, we're sort of all working together to connect these different programming options and requirements for students as well. So how do you get in touch with us? Our website is there. It's just uab.ca/ISS for International Student Services. We also have an online advising booking system. So we just launched it recently. So you can go onto our website and book an appointment to meet with an advisor. And you can book a group appointment if you want to meet as other students will be there, but to talk about study permits, work permits, or you can book a one-on-one appointment with the advisors to talk about study permits, work permits, or anything personal or financial. So we try to be as available as possible on any topic that you would like to discuss. We're there to support students through. So we really hope that we get to meet some of you or all of you who are on the webinar today through those different channels as well. So that's the information I have about U Alberta. I will open it up to questions. Hopefully we have some questions. I'm happy to answer anything about anything.
Well, thank you so much, Caroline, for your presentation. I think that it was a very useful information for all the candidates and people interested from Latin America. So we have several questions. So I'm going to start right away, and at the same time, I would like to invite you, to all of you, to the people attending this session. If you have some additional questions, please send it to us through the question and answer section in the platform. So I'm going to start right away. Good afternoon. I want to know, does Alberta, University of Alberta, have a Master of Health Law?
Masters of Health Law. Great question. I don't know off the top of my head if it does. I think that's one of those ones you'll have to go through that database and see. We certainly have a Faculty of Law, which offers graduate level programs. I don't know if it would be specifically in health law. So you may want to go to the website for the Faculty of Law and take a look at what they do offer. And I can certainly chat you that link as well.
Yeah, there are so many programs at the University of Alberta. So yeah. That is something that, of course, it is so important to go through the website of the University of Alberta or through the website of Caldo to try to find out the right program according to your interest. And sometimes something that is happening not only with the University of Alberta, but with many of our universities, that when you go to the faculty, probably you are going to find out the name of a kind of Master of Laws, but at the same time, there are so many different branches. So that is something else that you need to find out in a very specific way with several, universities, and in this case, with the University of Alberta particularly.
That's a great point. And I think too, sometimes students, it's really hard if you don't always know where things are housed. So if something like health law, it might be, yes, absolutely in the Faculty of Law, but you may also want to look at the School of Public Health, because it could be there's things that are related to the research that you're interested in that are actually happening in that department as well. So it's good to take your time and really have a good look through.
Thank you, Caroline. I think that this question is basically talking about programs connected to advertising or marketing.
So, so probably, again, you'll want to look through what they're offering at the School of Business. So the Alberta School of Business is the business school here at the University of Alberta, and they do have graduate programs, MBA programs, PhD programs in all of the, I believe in all of the areas that they offer courses in. So definitely you'd want to take a look at the Alberta School of Business MBA program.
Thank you. I'm going to rephrase a little bit this question. Is talking about basically who are the students that could pay tuition fees for residents at the University of Alberta?
Who are the students who could pay tuition fees for, or who could live in residence?
No, who are paying domestic tuition fees, basically.
Oh,
because
who are
it's someone that is asking about tuition fees for Canadian residents or permanent residents.
Gotcha.
Or, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So at the University of Alberta, if you are a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, then you would pay domestic tuition fees. If you are an international student, meaning not a permanent resident or Canadian citizen, then you would be paying international student tuition fees.
Thank you. Are there any fellowship from the University of Alberta for doctoral studies?
Yeah, great question. So how funding, and again, I'm not the I don't know it all, but certainly for funding for graduate studies, a lot of that funding will depend on the department as well that you're applying to. So funding for different programs kind of works differently for different departments. So students may receive funding from their departments directly or their supervisor directly if that supervisor has research funds or other funds that they're able to then hire students. So a lot of the funding will come through if you're doing a TA-ship for that department or a research assistantship or a graduate research assistant fellowship. So there's different categories of funding at the University of Alberta, some based on the collective agreement that you'll have with the Graduate Students Association. And I didn't talk about them too much here, but the Graduate Students Association is essentially your union here at the university, and they have a collective agreement that outlines all of the different employment relationships that you would have with the department. So that's how a lot of the funding would work, is through that employment relationship, or through a fellowship like the Graduate Research Assistant Fellowship, where you would receive the funds directly from the department to help, help with your studies, but it might not be considered an employment relationship in that case.
And at the same time, I would like to add something else to your information, that please don't forget that CALDO has agreements with different funding agencies in the region. So we do have 9 agreements with 9 different countries where we could support through the agreements students interested in research master's degrees. Always we are talking about research kind of master's degrees, and PhD programs. So that is something that basically, depending on the country that you are coming from, you could be interested in checking the information of the funding agency of your country, because through them and through the agreement with CALDO, we could offer at the University of Alberta some kind of support if you are awarded with the scholarship coming directly from the funding agency of your own country. Okay, so that is something important to keep in mind. As I was saying at the beginning, CONACYT in Mexico, CENACYT, Panama, PRONAVEC, Peru, MinCiencias Colombia, ANI, Chile, ANI, Uruguay, BECAL, Paraguay, CENECYT, Ecuador, and so on. So there are so many different opportunities as well. And other institutions in some countries could offer some kind of support through loans. That is the case, for example, what is happening in countries such as Colombia with Colfuturo. So I think that it's important to find out information about international scholarships available or financial support available for studies at the University of Alberta or any other CALDO members university. And I think that that is something that based on what I saw, there are so many different questions regarding scholarships for international students. Here I have another question for you, Caroline. Is there any age limit to apply for a PhD program?
No. Short answer, there is no age limit, absolutely.
Exactly. Thank you so much. If I am accepted to a PhD program in Canada, can my partner travel with me to Canada?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, absolutely. So how it works immigration-wise for students who have a study permit, if you have a spouse or a partner, that individual can apply for what's called a spousal open work permit. And so if that's approved, then you can travel together, and while the student is studying, the spouse or partner can work on an open work permit in Canada.
Perfect. Thank you. Can we work part-time during our program?
Yes. So how it works immigration-wise, which is a really good question, actually. So students with a study permit, the study permit itself gives you authorization to work in Canada. As long as you're enrolled full-time as a student, you can work up to 20 hours a week off campus or full-time on campus. If there's on-campus opportunities, there's no restriction on the number of hours. I will say we don't recommend students work too many hours, of course, because you need enough time to devote to your studies. But yeah, absolutely, you can work up to 20 hours a week off campus, just with the study permit. You don't need another separate work permit.
Thank you. Could you tell us about application deadlines?
I can. So typically for graduate programs, they do say you'll want to start your application process up to a year before your start date. So doesn't mean you have to apply a year before, but they do encourage students to start the process at that time. And again, depending on the department, they might have different application deadlines, but typically you'll want to get that application in, if you're starting in September, so if the fall term starts in September, most likely you'll want to have that application in by January.
Yeah, and let me add something else, because that is another question that we get very often at Caldo, is that sometimes there are some programs that could start in September, exactly as Caroline was mentioning, and some programs could have the option to start in January, winter semester. But that is something that you need to validate, because not 100% of the programs are offered to open their courses in January and September. Most of them, of course, the start in the year is in September, but just a portion of the programs at the universities could have an initial date in January or the winter semester. So it is very important to check that information according to the different faculties and programs that might be of your own interest. Okay. So another question, Caroline, are the programs currently offered face-to-face or remotely?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So right now, as we speak, they're all remote, and they have been remote for the most part this whole academic year. So since September 2020. With a few exceptions of some of the lab work that was being done different parts of the year, students were able to go in sort of at different times and that kind of thing. What we have, the information we have now is that the vast majority of our programs will be going back in person in September. So as it stands right now, it's 80% of courses are being offered in person. There's some flexibility there with the different departments and faculties depending on student situations. So if students are unable to get here for September or different things might come up, there's certainly a degree of flexibility there. But the plan is to migrate ourselves back to campus so we can all be in person, our services as well as classes. So as you know, everywhere it's an ever-changing situation, but that is, as of today, that is the plan.
Thank you. I understand that you can help us to find out a supervisor for a PhD program. I am right? Can I start answering this question?
Yes, please do.
Through Caldo, we could guide you in what you need to do in order to find out the right supervisor. Something that is so important to understand and to know is that it is going to be your job. It is going to be part of your application to get connected with potential supervisors according to your research interests. So that is so important that through the University of Alberta, through Caldo, we are going to provide you information about who could be potentially a supervisor according to the interest for your research. But it is going to be part of your application process to start opening those conversations with the different potential supervisors that might be of your own interest. So that is something very important. And again, as I was saying at the beginning, for a PhD program, it is mandatory to have a supervisor for starting your PhD and for applying to the program at the university. So I don't know, Caroline, if you want to add something else.
Nope, that's great. Yes. Perfect. There is some step-by-step guides. I'll just chat you the links here as well to everyone for, how some step-by-steps from the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research on how they recommend you go about your
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Application process. Mm-hmm.
Another question here. When are you receiving applications for 2022, 2023?
Yeah, that is a good question. Again, what they've indicated on the website as well is that they vary, of course, around the different departments, the application deadlines, as well as when they open. I would say probably, I know typically it's October 1 is when a lot of the application portals open at the University of Alberta. So I would think pretty soon they're going to be in the fall term starting to look at applications for the following fall. Again, so about a year in advance is when they'll start to look at those processes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another question. How can I book an appointment with you, Caroline, or any other advisor at the university?
Yeah, great question. Again, on our website, we have, actually, since my screen is still open here, hopefully you can see that okay.
Yep.
So
yep.
This is on our website here. So again, it's uab.ca/ISS. And then you get to this page for the booking of appointment, and you just go here to book an appointment, and it brings you to our appointment booking page. It's really straightforward. If you don't have of course, you won't have a CCID at this point if you haven't applied yet. If you don't have, you're not a student yet, or you haven't even applied to the University of Alberta yet, that's okay. Just send us an email, and I'm going to chat you the email again here. So you can, it's just advising@ualberta.ca. And that gets to us, the immigration advisors and the international student advisors. So if you have a CCID, so what happens when you apply to the university, one of the first things that they give you is called a CCID, and that's how you log into things using your computing ID. And then you could kind of do everything at the university. If you don't have that, don't worry, just send us an email and we can connect with you that way and book you an appointment offline.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question. Good afternoon. Could you provide an estimated cost of a master's degree at the University of Alberta?
Yes, great question. I can show you exactly how you can find that information as well. So on the faculty, so here we are in graduate studies and research, and I think I've chatted this link a couple of times in the chat box. There's all the information about prospective students here. So there's this fee and cost of living estimates as well. Of course, you want to make sure that you're looking for international student fees if you're an international student, because the different programs have different fees, right? So you'll want to take a look at the non-instructional fees, and then of course the instructional fees and the cost of living. There's an estimate here as well. There's a tuition and fees page, tells you more about how to pay and when to pay, but all of the information can be found here. I can't really give you an estimate only because there is quite a big difference between some of the programs. So I just encourage you to take a look to the program that you're most interested in and take a look at what the fees structure might be for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon. What about the minimum score in English for a master's degree?
Good question. Again, it depends on the department. So some programs have different requirements. Again, I can show you where to find that information. English language proficiency is here. So it can be demonstrated with different things. As you can see here, there's lots of different ways to show your proficiency. And then sort of the minimum requirements are here as well, if that's helpful. So that's TOEFL is there, IELTS. So 6.5 is sort of what they're looking for overall, but no band less than 5.5 if you're thinking of IELTS. Again, some departments may have other requirements, but that's the minimum.
Yeah, that is something very important to highlight, because also we get a lot of questions very regularly at Caldo about the specific score required for a specific program. That is so important to understand and to get the specific information about the program itself, which is not necessarily the same score required by the Faculty of Graduate Studies, okay? So that is something that you need to keep in mind. That is the minimum requirement, what Caroline is showing. But of course, the Faculty of Law, the Faculty of Business, the Faculty of Engineering could have different scores according to their specific requirements. So it is very important for you to check in detail that information.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know that it's already 5 p.m., but maybe, Caroline, you have a little bit more time to answer because there are so many other questions too.
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Wonderful. So I think that this one is a very interesting one. This question is about COVID situation. If I get a vaccine before getting to Canada to do my studies, it is still necessary to do a quarantine?
Yeah, great question. Again, I can only really speak to what's in place right now. And yes, you still need to quarantine at this time. Nobody is exempt from the quarantine requirements because they've had 1 or 2 shots of the vaccine. I do not know when these requirements now will change, but as of today, yes, every returning traveler is required to quarantine first for 3 days in a quarantine hotel at the port of entry. And then you can transit to, so right now there's 4 airports where you can land in Canada: Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary. Edmonton is not there on that list. So you would have to do your 3 days in one of those 4 cities first, and then you get your negative COVID result from the airport test. And then you can transit to Edmonton at that time and complete your quarantine in Edmonton for the remainder of those 11 days. But right now, yeah, it's a requirement for everybody.
Yep, thank you. Another question that I think that will help to complement part of the answers that you have been given before. How should I approach the university in order to consider a program? 1, through the International Student Service, or 2, directly with the professors?
Good question. And I'm going to say directly with your professors. We don't have that sort of pipeline, I guess you could call it, directly to those professors. So I think if you're comfortable doing that, we're certainly able to sort of give you advice on how to approach a professor, or, you know, what you'd want to say perhaps in those emails. But it is really up to the applicants at this stage of the application to really do the research on who in the department is doing the research that they maybe want to be a part of, and then approach them directly.
Perfect. Another question here, with how much anticipation I need to, before applying to a PhD, should I send my TOEFL results?
Oh, that's a good, yeah. No, so I think, again, you want to start thinking about your application about a year in advance of getting everything together and making, you know, so a lot can happen in a year and a lot has to happen in that year in order to get the application in, to get your supervisor sorted out, get your study permit, and then of course arrive. So I don't think you would necessarily need to send your TOEFL results at the initial stages. When you're having those conversations, you could certainly mention, if you're having those conversations, that you've met the proficiency requirement. That's not going to be a problem. But it won't really be until you submit your application that they're going to want to see the TOEFL results as a required document. But I imagine it wouldn't hurt those initial conversations with the department just to say it's not going to be a problem. When I submit the application, I have met all of these requirements.
Perfect. So I have seen a lot of questions about tuition fees, but that is something that Carolina has already explained. I think that I'm going to take the final one right now, and I'm going to give you some time at the end, Caroline, if you want to add some additional information before ending the presentation.
Great.
So, can I apply for a master program before finishing my undergraduate studies?
Yes. Yeah, so I believe, yes, you can apply for the master's program before you finish your studies. You certainly will have to show proof of completion. They will give you, so if you're admitted to the grad studies program, they will give you a deadline as to when you have to meet all of the requirements, the conditions, I will say, of your admission. And one of those certainly will be your final transcript or letter of completion or completion notification of your undergraduate degree. But yes.
Perfect, thank you. I think that we're done with the question. So there are some additional questions, some of them very specific. So I'm going to ask you, to every one of you that probably felt that we didn't answer exactly your question, if you can send to us or to Caroline directly your specific questions. But so sorry, but we were trying to put together as much information as possible in order to cover many different topics. So Caroline, please give us some final words if you want to add something else, some recommendations or anything else that you feel that is important to share at this point.
Oh, sure, thanks. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming today. And I guess some tips for you moving forward. Really, just to reiterate, start your applications early, start those conversations early with potential supervisors, start connecting with the university. And, you know, we're International Student Services, we are here to support you throughout your program and beyond. So, you know, we really do hope that if you choose the University of Alberta, you know, we get to meet you in person, of course, hopefully starting in this fall. And if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us and ask us.
Well, thank you so much again, Caroline, for your participation. Very interesting presentation, very good questions. So thank you to everyone that you were a very engaged participant in the conversation. We are gonna post in the following days the video, and you will receive a link. Through that link, you will be able to listen again and to watch the information if you require to go in deeper knowledge about a specific topic. So thank you to everyone for being with us this afternoon. Thank you again for your time. And we hope that every one of you is going to well, get a successful application probably in the future for the University of Alberta or any other Calder universities. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.